Have you ever felt like you're everyone's go-to person? The one who's always available, always ready to help. It feels good, right? To be needed, to be seen as kind and reliable. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself what this constant availability is costing you? Your time, your energy, your peace of mind, and even your self-respect. Today, we're going to explore a story that might feel a little too familiar. It's a story about the hidden price of being endlessly kind and how learning one simple, two-letter word can change your life forever. In a small, bustling village nestled among rolling hills, there lived a man named Ethan. If you were to ask anyone in the village about Ethan, they'd all say the same thing. Ethan is the kindest man you'll ever meet. He never says no. And it was true. Whether someone needed a hand mending a fence, help rounding up stray sheep, or just an ear to listen, Ethan was always there. His willingness to help earned him a certain kind of respect, but it also made him the village's default solution to every problem. The thing is, while Ethan was busy building everyone else's lives, his own was slowly falling apart. His farm, once tidy and productive, now had fences that sagged and fields overrun with weeds. His own home, the one place he should have found rest, was in a constant state of disrepair. He was so busy helping others that he had no time or energy left for himself. One evening, as Ethan returned home, exhausted, his elderly mother watched him with worried eyes. "Ethan," she said softly, "you help everyone. But who helps you?" Ethan just smiled, a tired but gentle smile. "Kindness is an investment, Mom. One day, it will be repaid." He truly believed it. He thought that by giving endlessly, he was building a bank of goodwill that he could draw on when he needed it. He was about to learn a very hard lesson. That autumn, dark clouds gathered on the horizon, promising a storm unlike any the village had seen in years. Panic set in. Neighbors rushed to Ethan's door, their faces etched with fear. "Ethan, please, my crops will be ruined," one cried. "My roof, it won't hold," another pleaded. And as always, Ethan said yes. He spent the entire day and night dashing from one farm to another, securing barns, reinforcing roofs, and helping harvest what he could. He worked until his muscles screamed and his body was numb with exhaustion. He saved many of his neighbors from devastation. When the storm finally passed and the sun broke through the clouds, Ethan stumbled back to his own farm. The sight that greeted him broke his heart. His own fields were a washed-out mess, the entire harvest destroyed. The storm hadn't ruined his crops. His choices had, in that moment, standing amidst the wreckage of his own life. He felt a profound emptiness. It wasn't the good kind of tired that comes from a hard day's work for yourself. It was a hollow ache, born not from the labor, but from the realization that in his quest to save everyone else, he had completely abandoned himself. As he sat there, head in his hands, old George, the village's wisest elder, walked up and sat beside him. He didn't offer sympathy or platitudes. He just looked at the ruined field and said, "Kindness, my boy, is like a river. It's meant to flow, to nourish. But a river without banks is just a flood. It doesn't nourish, it destroys everything in its path, including the ground it flows on." The metaphor hit Ethan like a thunderbolt. He had been a flood, not a river. His kindness, without boundaries, had become a force of self-destruction. "But how can I say no?" Ethan asked, his voice barely a whisper. "It feels selfish, wrong." George looked at him intently. "Is it selfish to tend to your own field? Is it wrong to repair your own roof? Saying no isn't an act of selfishness, Ethan. It's an act of self-respect. It's drawing the banks for your river so it can flow without washing you away." George challenged him. "The next time someone asks for your help, just pause. Don't answer right away. Ask yourself, can I truly afford to give this time? What will it cost me? And if the cost is your own well-being, you must find the courage to say no." A few days later, a neighbor came by. "Ethan, my cart has a broken wheel. I need to get to market. Can you fix it for me?" The old Ethan would have dropped everything instantly. But this time, he remembered Georgia's words. He paused. He looked at his own broken fence, the work that desperately needed doing. A wave of guilt washed over him, his heart pounding. It felt so unnatural, so wrong. But he took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, John, but I can't right now. I have to fix my own fence before the cattle get out." The no hung in the air, feeling heavy and uncomfortable. John looked surprised, even a little annoyed, before nodding and walking away to find another solution. Ethan was left with a churning stomach. It felt doubtful, like he had let someone down. But as he turned to his own neglected fence and began to work, a strange thing happened. The guilt slowly started to fade, replaced by something else, a quiet sense of peace. For the first time in a long time, he was taking care of his own needs. The sound of his hammer wasn't just fixing a fence. It was rebuilding his self-worth. A few weeks later, a strong wind damaged a section of Ethan's own roof. It was a big job, too much for one person. He thought of all the people he had helped, all the roofs he had fixed. Surely, now his investment of kindness would be repaid. He went around the village, asking for help. But one person was too busy. Another had a prior commitment. A third promised to come, but never showed up. No one came. Fixing that roof, alone, piece by piece, was another turning point. But this time there was no resentment, only a profound understanding. His constant availability hadn't built a community of mutual support. It had created a community dependent on him. They weren't bad people. They had just gotten used to Ethan handling everything. By never allowing them to solve their own problems, he had inadvertently weakened them and himself. As he hammered the last shingle into place, he didn't feel bitter. It felt strong. He had relied on himself, and he had succeeded. The respect he was searching for from others, he was finally finding within himself. Slowly, things in the village began to change. When people asked Ethan for help, he would still say yes sometimes, but only when he had the time and energy to spare. More often, he would politely decline, explaining he had his own work to do. At first, people were surprised, but then they started to respect his time. They began planning ahead, learning to fix their own problems, or asking each other for help. The village became more resilient, more self-reliant, and they didn't respect Ethan any less. In fact, they respected him more. They saw him not just as a helping hand, but as a man who valued himself. His farm thrived. His home became a sanctuary of peace. He had more energy, more joy, and the relationships he did have felt more genuine, built on mutual respect, not on need. He learned that true kindness isn't about being endlessly available. It's about giving from a full cup, not an empty one. And to keep your cup full, you must protect your time, your energy, and your spirit. Your time is your life. Your energy is your most precious resource. Saying no is not about shutting people out. It's about opening the door to yourself. It's about choosing to honor your own needs, to tend to your own garden. Because only when you are whole can you truly give to others without losing yourself. So the next time you feel the pressure to say yes when you mean no, remember Ethan. Remember the river. Draw your banks. Protect your peace. It's the greatest act of kindness you can ever show yourself. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content to help you live a fuller, more intentional life. See you next time.